Hey guys, Beast here with another video. This time I will be talking about TvZ. A lot of people have asked for building TvZ since I did the TvP and TvT. So I decided today is the day and finally make one. So today I'll be teaching you guys a very, I guess, greedy build. It's a build I use pretty often. It's the triple CC build in TvZ. And what you want to do with this build is use it on the maps that are either 4-player maps like Cactus Valley or Honor Grounds. You don't really want to do this on Paladino Terminal, so you want to do it on the maps that it's very hard to scout for the Zerg. Another good map for it is Proxima Station. And I will go through how to react to certain things while doing this build and how to transition out of it, and what timings you're looking for while you're doing the build itself. Okay, so the build is a Reaper Fast Expand. This is not the gas first version. This is just depot, barracks, gas, and then expand. And the reason why you do it on 4-player maps is because the Zerg, obviously because it's a 4-player map, it has less chance to scout you. And this build is stronger when it doesn't get scouted because you get away with all the greed and the opponent doesn't really know what you're doing. So they might still play safe while you're playing pretty economically and get ahead just by basically doing nothing. So the follow-up to the Reaper, you make one Marine and you try to deny the Overlord scouts no matter what the map is. You follow it up with Reactor and a Factory, and you'll see me stacking quite a lot of minerals, and that's when I throw down the 3rd CC. And you'll see that I'm still on 1 gas, so you don't need a 2nd gas yet. With the Reaper, you try to scout what the Zerg is doing. Just the usual, you're scouting if he's going lair, if he's going baneling nest, if he's still mining gas or has a roach warren. Now, if he already mined 100 and he's still mining, you need to be cautious. That doesn't mean making a bunker necessarily, just try to follow up, scout with your Reaper what he's doing. I saw that he's mining just with 1 drone, so I know that there's no all-in coming. But sometimes they keep mining gas, they go for the Overlord speed. Sometimes they can tech up to lair or throw down a roach warren. So at this point, because I saw only 1 drone was mining gas, he obviously wasn't going to be rushing or all-inning with anything, so I knew that that 3rd base is very likely a possibility, especially because I saw drones popping up. Now behind this, you can see the 3rd CC started. This Marine is positioned to deny any Overlords, and I'm making Reactor Hellions, switched it with the barracks, and the moment you switch, you want to make Tech Lab under barracks and start your stim upgrade. The number of Hellions you make is, I think, what you prefer. I've tried making 2, 4, or 6. I think 8 is too many. But I think 4 is a good number if you're experienced with the build. 2 is very greedy. Like, I do 2 Hellions if I scout that the Zerg made super fast 3rd. So I just make 2 and just transition out of it. I think 4 is the perfect number once you have the experience with the build, because it allows you to transition very fast, and the transition is very perfect as far as the building production goes. For starters, I would suggest you guys go for 6, because with 4 Hellions, if the opponent goes for Mass Sling or Baneling Bust and you don't quite react perfectly, you might just die. So 6 is a lot safer number, I guess. And I suggest to go with that from the start. Even though I went with 4, your build is not going to differentiate any from mine. It will just be delayed, like the barracks that I'm making now will be delayed by another 2 Hellions. So I make 4 Hellions, I keep producing Marines, I'm getting my stim up, I'm controlling the watchtower, and you can see I sent 1 Hellion across the map because, again, I wasn't sure. I didn't confirm the 3rd base with the Reaper, so I just sent 1 Hellion in, sacrificial, got the confirmation of the 3rd, saw drones going to it, saw Evo Chamber. So I know this is pretty normal game at this point with no cheese coming. If I knew what he was doing, obviously I wouldn't be sacrificing a Hellion, but I just played extra safe and didn't want to lose to anything cheeky. After 4 Hellions, made 2 more Raxes, made another reactor for this barracks, and then once the reactor is done with the factory, you switch it, you make another reactor for the starport. Meanwhile, I'll go back a bit actually, just to make sure you guys have the proper overview of the build. So this is when I'm still making Hellions, the first 4 Hellions. You'll see me add 2 barracks very soon. Make a reactor for this Rax, and after you make your first 2 barracks, or second and third barracks, you upgrade your orbital and you add the gas in the main and 1 gas on the natural, because you don't need the 4 gases at this point. Now I'm just keep making depots, keep making marines, supply depots, throwing down double engineering bay at this point, right before starport starts. And at this point I have pretty good marine production. I know what he's doing because I scouted with the Hellion, so I'm feeling pretty safe. And you want to start your upgrades as fast as possible, 1-1. And basically with this build, this is your first timing. 1-1 with steam and combat shields with Medivacs is your first timing. Now, you can see the first 2 Medivacs are coming out, making another reactor on the factory. And let's go. Okay, 2 Medivacs are coming out, shields is on the way, +1/+1 on the way, armory on the way, so transitioning just fine. And with this first push, you don't want to overcommit. As you can see, this is what I call anti-timing. So if I attack now, I don't have shields, I don't have +1 weapons and armor, so this is not where you want to attack. What I'm doing is I'm poking, forcing Zerg to make units, and denying the creep. So you can see here, I pick off a queen, pick off some creep tumors, but I don't commit too much. I see the Banes morphing here, and I just pull back. When I want to attack is when I have my upgrades done. Meanwhile, my third landed, grabbing the gases, making 2 more barracks, because I will have quite a lot of minerals. And at this point, you want to be throwing down 2, even 3 supply depots at the time, because your production is kicking in super hard right now. You're producing double wood mines, triple racks, starport, and all of that. So you can see I loaded up 2 more Medivacs and got them all the way in front of the Zerg base. And now with +1 with the shields, I want to be pushing. As you can see, his bailing speed is not done, his +1 armor is not done, so I have the upgrade lead in this fight. Back in the base, the 2 barracks are getting reactors. I'll be starting 2-2 soon. I'm a bit late on that this game. And now what you want to do is never fight on creep against Zerg. The proper way to engage the Zerg is have your units split behind the creep, and then with few units attack the Zerg units or the hatchery and force the Zerg to attack into you. And he will just not be trading efficiently if he attacks that way. So you can see he goes in here again, doesn't do too well. I trade pretty well. My macro is slipping a bit, and I messed up this game because of the late upgrades, or should have started 2-2 earlier, let's say. I keep pushing here, deny some mining, and when I see it's too many, I just lift up what's left. Now you can see 2-2 is coming up, +1 armor as well, 4 CC on the way, and I should be adding +3 barracks very soon. Now, this comes down to preferred playstyle. You can either add 3 barracks right now, or you can add 2 more barracks and 1 more factory for Thor production, and then upgrading drilling claws for the winter mines. I switch. I don't really do the same thing every single game. This game I decided to go with +3 barracks, which will all be tech labs, because you need Marauder production and Ghost production later in the game. So you can see I'm still putting pressure here. At this point you don't want to overcommit, but I felt I was trading pretty well, so I kept pushing. Your next timing attack should be with 2-2. Your first one should obviously be with 1-1 and shields and stim. Your next one should be with 2-2. I get a bit overwhelmed here. I still trade, still force Zerg to make a lot of units. As you can see, he did not start his +2 armor simply because he has been under a lot of pressure this game. But you'll see me just throwing units at him because with this build you have so much economy. If your macro is good, you're going to have basically a lot of units to just keep attacking your opponent. And as you can see, what you also want to do is keep denying the creep. That's extremely important in TvZ. So you can see me keep pushing here. His creep spread is very, very bad at this point in the game because I kept attacking through the same position, kept denying the creep. And Honor Grounds is a bit weird as far as creep denying goes because all the bases are on the same spot, so you're kind of pushing always through the same path. But on other maps, depending where you want to push, or depending where his fourth base is, that's where you want to push. On this map, it doesn't really matter. Yes, this was his fourth base, but if I pushed here or here, it's pretty much the same thing. There's a ramp, and then it's open base. So always try to push towards the Zerg's fourth base, clear creep constantly wherever you can, and if you're pushing on the fourth base, you can try doing a drop in the main base. I didn't try this game because he had static defenses and because Honor Grounds is not very good map for dropping. Here, I see he's trying to counterattack really badly, which usually means Zerg wants to delay or push. And I don't really want to base trade at this point because I felt that I'm in pretty good position this game. You can see I added 3 tech labs on these Raxes. And I just want to not allow him to do any counter damage. And here the trades for him don't really go too well. He kills some SCVs. I think he kills like 10 SCVs, but at this point it doesn't really matter because my army is just way too big for his. And yeah, so at this point you can see that I saw earlier that he has Hive going, so I'm expecting Ultras, making Ghost Academy. 3-3 is almost done, and I'm slowly starting Marauder production. You can see I have a lot of Marauders already. Here he's trying to base trade again, which, I mean, he cancels the 5th, but with the push coming at front, it doesn't really matter. So you can see me here pushing quite far on the creep, and the reason for that is I know that a lot of his units are right here. So I just decide to go for it because I know my army is a lot stronger than his. I keep scanning, I see what units he has. He has a lot of Banes, so what I do is I put my Marauders all the way in front to soak up the Banelings as much as they can, pre-splitting the units, and just keep pushing forward. You can see he goes again, runs the Banes into the Marauders. Comes from behind with all these units, but I still managed to trade extremely well. Even though I lose this army, I mean, he's left with 2 mutas. He didn't expand. You can see this base is mining out, this base is mined out. So he wasn't able to expand. Meanwhile, I can just lift my bases. I actually lost his base in the whole base trade scenario. And because I denied this base, he's basically not really mining anymore. So yeah, I keep pushing. I don't want to stay back and let him get to Ultras. Obviously, if he has too many Ultras and you're not prepared, you just have Marine Marauder. You don't really want to, go in. But at this point, I felt pretty confident that I'll be able to push my advantage and win the game. Another thing you can do in TvZ is while you're pushing like this, you can make a couple of Liberators and send them to the natural and to the main. I actually did that at one point in the game, but it just ended up dying, so I didn't feel the need to show you guys the Liberators just dying. But that's another cool thing you can do. Again, he really made quite a lot of static defenses, and it is Honor Grounds, so it's hard to drop or do any cool moves in this map. One thing to pay attention when you do this build is scouting early game with the Reaper. Make sure to see that he has a 3rd base going on. If he doesn't, if you see a layer going up, know that he will be going for Mutas or Nidus if he did scout your fast 3rd CC. So you have to pay attention what the Zerg saw as well. If you saw the 3rd CC, because sometimes you just can't prevent the scouting because of the positioning, or maybe he sent the Overlord the correct way. just have in mind that he can all-in you, and if your Reaper scouts Fast Lair and a Roach Warren, instead of making the 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th Hellion, make Reactor Cyclones, delay your build, it's absolutely fine. So when I had the Reactor Factory here and the Tech Lab, you can just make couple of Cyclones, maybe even make a bunker like here and here in case of the Nidus, and that's it. If the Zerg goes for 2-base Muta, that's actually really good for you because he is cutting his economy to rush out harass units while you have super 3 fast CCs, so you can just make missile turrets and be absolutely fine with it. As far as Baneling Bus go, which is another threat, just make sure you're watching your Hellions. Again, you need to practice this build since it is a greedy build, but if you practice it well, you can't really die with it. Obviously it happens sometimes, but it's a really good build. You get a lot of units and your mid game is extremely strong with it. So just be careful how you move your Hellions. You don't want to overcommit with your Hellions across the map. Just use them defensively, because if you lose the Hellions, you lose your map control, and then you have no idea what the Zerg is doing, which might cause you to just lose the game at that point. Another thing is, if you see 2-base Roaches, like without Lair, with the Reaper or with the first Scouting Hellion, like you saw me do it, just make Reactor Cyclones, make a Marauder out of the Tech Lab with the racks with the Tech Lab. Don't panic, make a bunker, and after you make 2, 3, 4 Hellions, just transition into the same way that you would if none of that happened. So you would add 2 more Raxes, you would make a reactor with your factory, make a reactor after with the factory for your starport, and grab the double gas or another 2 gases in the main and the natural, double engineering bay, and so on. So just don't panic, practice the build. It might be a little bit difficult to start, but it is a very good build. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe. I will be making more videos. The next video that will be coming up is most likely going to be another build order video. And I might be making Protoss guides in the future. We'll see about that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask down below and I'll try to answer them the best I can. Again, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video.